Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just remind me at the end to, I'll post it up on YouTube probably for you on our YouTube site, so you'll have access to it.
Thanks a lot.
Because otherwise, it's very big. Okay. So what we did in strategic priorities is combined these together: the health promotion protection, improve the community's health through integrated evidence-based prevention, protection, promotion initiatives. So that's really the high level. If I go back to the plan itself here, you'll see that that's what we did in here: health protection, promotion, and then the rest of that goal. Because again, there's that one-to-one relationship in there. So now back to the plan, or back to the pyramid here. So we have 4 of those initiatives, as you saw. Underneath each of those is going to be a set of goals. So we'll go back to your plan. And what you're calling strategies are effectively in the pyramid goals. And then these would be the 3 goals for health promotion and protection. So what you're calling strategies are really goals. Now, if you choose that you want to maintain the naming nomenclature up here as you print it out into a report, like an operational plan report, there's a place that you can go into settings, and I can show you that, where you can actually say a goal is going to print out as a strategy on the report. So it just may help when you're submitting the reports to the state or whatever. If you want to do that, I'll show you how to do that. It's very simple. So in this case, we have 3 goals. What you're calling strategies are goals underneath the strategic priority, and we'll go look at those here. So underneath this particular service initiative, we have those 3 goals, and that's the same goals that we just talked about here. So you see, these are the 3 goals underneath there. Under each of these goals, let's go back to the pyramid for a second. So under each goal, which are what you're calling strategies, are the objectives. The objectives are exactly what you have in here. They're very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, or SMART objectives in here. So if we go back to your plan, these are the objectives. And it was kind of interesting trying to figure out, okay, which objective goes to which goals until I noticed the numbering here. So you got 1.1D, 1.1C, 1.1B, and this then is 1.1. And then you go down here to 1.2A, which would be this one here. So it fit really well after I kind of saw that and figured that that's the way that they put it in there. Little confusing for the first time you look at it, but after I figured that out. So if we go back to the map here, or the plan, so underneath this goal were those 4 objectives, which were 1.1, A, B, C, and D. So in this case, their objective were 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are very well written because they're very, very specific. They have a time frame in there. Says by 12/31/22, reduce total rate of early syphilis diagnosed annually in Gadsden from 35.28 out of 1,000 to 33.21. So that's a very, very good objective. Now, the objectives are a target. And if you read that, you'll say that is the target. By this date, we're going to get to that target. The problem with that is, without the action plan, action steps, activities, whatever you call them, you typically don't know how you're going to get there. Now, somebody knows. So let's document that in the activities. What are the steps we're going to go through to accomplish this activity here, or accomplish this objective? So that's where we're going to get down to that activity level, which currently doesn't exist in the plan. So my thought would be that you could go out and finish out the plan as far as getting all the way down to the objective level based on this here. Well, I think I got, I don't know, maybe a couple of these priorities in there. I'll go look at it in a second here. A couple of these in there. So what you can do is just take this map here and go down and finish up entering all the way down to the objective level. And then my next thought would be getting down and saying, okay, what are the actual steps we're going to go through to accomplish this? What things are we going to do out there? And they don't have to be task level things. They can just be activities that, over a course of time, let's say over the course of this year, till 12/31 of 21, we're going to do A, B, and C, which is going to help us to accomplish that objective of by 12/31/22, reducing the rate down there. Does that make sense? What I'm saying is getting down to the steps.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then at the activity level, there's a whole lot of things that you can work in there and track them and make them repetitive and just all kinds of different things. So what I might suggest is I'll turn you guys loose, at the end of this to go through and finish up putting this plan in there. And then maybe if you could get your heads together and kind of think of, for each one of those objectives, a couple of big picture kind of steps, the activities that you want to do. And then let's get on another one of these go-to-meetings. You can send those over to me. Get on another go-to-meeting, and we'll actually walk through the different types of activities. There's 3 different types of activities that you'll want to look at. Some of them are what we call a project-based activity, which is just what percent done. Am I 5% done, 10% done, 100% done? Then we have what we call a QM or quantitative measurement activity, which is counting something. So, in this case, you could be counting the diagnosed cases, something along that line if you wanted to. Then there's what we call a QA activity, quality assurance activity, which is something you're going to do over and over. So maybe on a weekly basis, you're going to do something, a monthly basis, an annual basis, and it's going to repeat. So it's not, the activity is never finished, if that makes sense. It's going to be an ongoing thing. So what we can do is take the activities that you come up with for each of these steps and then walk through what's the best type. Is it project-based, which, by the way, about 85 or 90% are going to be project-based. Then QM is the next most popular one because you're counting something. And then the QA activity is the third most common, and that's typically anything that's repeating. But so what we do is start out with this as the top level of the plan, build out the activities, then get together, and I'll work with you to actually go through and structure some of the activities in so that you get the feeling for the different types of activities and all the different data points that you will collect in there. Does that make sense? Does that sound like a good plan?
What do you think, Esther?
Yeah, so you're saying that once we have an idea of what our activity planning is, you want to regroup and go over how we've organized the activity plans?
Yeah, what I'd like to do is get on another, after you create some of the activities, and it doesn't have to be, maybe 1 or 2 of the objectives, create a set of steps for it, the activities, and then we'll get back on another go-to-meeting, and we'll actually just walk through those specific steps and put them in the system under the right type of activity that makes sense for what you're doing. And then that'll kind of give you the get your mind around the different types of activities and the data points that you'll need to track.
Okay. Yeah,
that sound good?
That sounds good. I do think that this planning will be department-wide in a sense because all of these objectives, their leads are specific to a department. So like the first
right.
4 for our department are population-based services. So I think that it's all doable. Like it doesn't necessarily need to have like a sit-down meeting, but more of like we could send out an email to say with these objectives and for some of these objectives I already have a really well-defined, well-rounded activity planning just based off of what departments have been doing prior to us organizing our strategic plan like this. What is it?
I said, that's awesome. Why don't you just take what you have and put it together under the objectives, kind of in a document and send that off to me, and we'll work on the ones that you already have defined. That'll be the easiest way to get started.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. And then I will say there are instances where, and I mean, this might be a good question to ask you as more of a consultant, but like I know for our 1.1D, when we're talking about HIV STD screenings. At our last meeting, we discussed how we haven't been able to go into the jails because of COVID. So for that activity planning, like some of these things are outside of our control when it comes to planning. It's a matter of when the county and whatever authority decides that we are then allowed to go back into the jail system. So I don't know if that would be considered. Like, how would we denote that if there's situations that are outside of our bandwidth?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. What I think I would do is either at the objective level, put a note in there that says, based on the current COVID situation, we can't pursue this objective until we're freed up to go into the prison as well. So put a good note in there. Mark it with the traffic light as either a yellow, meaning we're going to get to it when this is over, or red, it's just, we can't ever get to it. So depending on what you believe is the case or what you know is the case, you mark the objective, or you can say, here's the activities we're going to go through. I'm going to project a time frame, and maybe it's by the end of 2022 is our time frame out there for now, and put a note in there saying these are just guesses as to the time frame based on what we currently know about COVID vaccinations and things coming back around in the United States with COVID coming, starting to loosen up a bit here. So maybe build some activities that you say these are what we're going to do, and then in the notes say this is a projected time frame based on the current information, and it may be updated as we move forward. Lots of different things you could do with it. If you have a plan already, then put the plan in there, put a projected time frame out a year, whatever you think it is, and then again put a note in there just saying that, hey, this may or may not happen depending on how things go. We may change these time frames, or we may stick with them. And that's good for anybody looking at it, understanding the situation and understanding that that you're not going to get to this until you can get back into the prisons or whatever that happens to be.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, well, so we have this plan. Let's go see how much we have in the system here already. This is the operational plan here. So we have, looks like priority 1 all the way down. Yeah. So the priority 1 is all the way down here. You got the notes in there, whole 9 yards. So we get down to priority 2. Yeah, I put the goals in all the way down. So we go back to your plan. Yeah, so all of these, what you're calling strategies, are already in there. So really is all you need to do is go in and put in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 objectives underneath the right. So this one is going to be easy, obviously, if there's only 1 goal and 2 objectives under the 1 goal. This one, you got the 3 goals and you got 1 objective for each, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. So you got 1 objective under each of those goals. And then here you have 1 and 1. So that's going to be really easy. I mean, this will take you a few minutes to go in and copy and paste and finish that up. Now, the other thing that would be nice to do, I think you mentioned you have team leads for each of the objectives down here. And that's where this comes in. So at the objective level, for every objective, you should go down and assign the person who's the team lead. So click on that little down arrow, hit show all users, and you're going to go down here and select the person who's going to be the primary lead. And, it may be a team of people or a division or office or program or something, but whoever the primary person is who's focused on that is what you want to put in there. Because that person is going to eventually be getting the automated status email just saying, hey, would you update this particular objective? And potentially the activities if they're assigned to those as well. So that's something else you can do. Once you get all those objectives in there, the next step might be to actually go through and assign objective leads to every objective in there if you can. If not, you can kind of leave them blank and put a note in here that says, the person who was in there has left the organization, or we can't assign it until after COVID is over or whatever happens to be in there. Make sense on the objectives? Get that going?
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Okay.
I am curious because we do sometimes edit the wording of our objectives, whether it be the target value or target date, or even just the way that the objective is constructed. Does VMSG automatically keep track of the history of changes, or is that something that we would have to manually enter as a note?
You see this little hourglass right here?
Uh-huh.
I click on that, and it automatically keeps track of the history. So you see that we added a note here on 12/17, and the percentage area. Yeah, it keeps track of everything right in this history file. And if you want to, you can export the history file.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see because, let's see, because that is what happened. That was what that note pertained to, like our rate reduction and clarifying, just like clarification of the wording. Okay.
Yep, and I noticed that in the tail end of your plan there was already an update section back here. It was Yeah, summary of reviews. So these are the updated ones. So if you go back in, I think I used these in there. I'm not sure about that one. You can check those. But you can go back in and update the objective with this, and when you save it, it'll create that history record. Now let me show you another little trick here that you can do, because these were done sometime in the past. You know, it wasn't today. Whenever you did that, you can go into the history file where we are here, and for instance, you could change the date that this was done. Because you click on that, go down here and change the date and save it. And this is if you happen to be an org admin or a manager user, which I think you guys both are. So you go in and change that date. So what you're doing is saying, on this date, we made this change to the plan, and it's not having to worry about, worried about the dates that you're entering it today, and it's going to put today's date. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Miss JT, is this making sense?
Yep, I'm good with that.
Okay, cool.
And by the way, you can also go in and create history records the same way. What you'll do is go in and say, let's say on January 1st of 2021, we had some changes in here. So I go in and make the changes in there, save it. And then when you save it, you just go to the history file, it creates that record, and then change the date, move it back to January of 2021. And now you've got the history, because, a lot of things, obviously, you guys have done before you get the plan into the system. So it just makes it easy to go back and create that historical record.
Esther, I have a question for you. Fred, can you go back to the colored slide where you're showing the goals and objectives?
Hang on a second here. Okay.
The other one where they were in the boxes, where you have the 1 point, 2 point.
And you're talking about your plan here, this one?
No. I forgot.
No.
There you go. Okay, right there.
Okay.
I wanted to ask Esther, and you did bring it up, Fred, in the midst of explaining the flow and especially the numbering on the objective side. So I was wondering how Esther feels about how the strategy side is set up to coincide with the numbering on the objective side, especially once everyday users start getting into the software. I'm just wondering if any level of numbering is needed in the strategies column.
Yeah, I think it could be helpful because the 1 and 1, like the A is referring to the objective, and then the 1, like for 1 is coming from goal 1, strategy 1, and then what Fred was talking about, it was like not immediately intuitive that like for increased diabetes prevention, that 1 to the 1, instead of being 1, it changed to 1, 2 because that was under the second strategy, enhanced community awareness. So it is something to think about if we want to go back and put like for each priority area, for each strategy, number it, so that once we get over to the objective, it's much more intuitive where the number before the letter is coming from. For this map, I followed to the T the template that State Health Office had, and this is how they had it set up. And it took me a little bit to understand, okay, like when am I changing the number? Like what is the number corresponding to in terms of strategy or goal, etc. And so I, just from working with this every single day, I can look at it and immediately orient myself, but it's not immediately intuitive. Like, and instead of having a bulleting system, we could have a numbering system.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty simple fix. And I can talk to State Health Office because I think they've even walked away from that map. I think that the most updated graphic that they have for organizing objectives, I don't even think that's what it looks like. So it might be tailored to include the numbers. So yeah.
The system automatically numbers like this. So this objective is Service Initiative 1, Goal 1, Objective 1, and then the activities will be, activities 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's just, the same basic scheme, except we don't have the lettering, we have the numbering in there. So it does that automatically for you, and it allows you to have that hierarchical relationship. Okay, so I think where we are right now is let's finish getting this in there, and which is basically just adding these down here, I think. Like I say, it'll do the numbering and everything for you. If you have some activities under any of these specific objectives already, just put them in a Word document or something, send them over to me. Let me take a look at them and point me to which objective they fall under. And then what I'll do is take a look at them and go through my head a little bit and say, okay, this looks like a project-based activity, and I'll go ahead and enter it in for you. And then we'll, in the next couple of days, if you'd like to, we can schedule another call and we'll actually walk through what I did, and I'll explain my thought process behind it so that we can work that way.
Are you saying have a meeting once I've sent over some of the activity steps for these objectives?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That works?
Yeah. And then in terms of our other plans, is your thought that let's focus on getting the strategic plan implemented and up to date and then move on from there?
You can do it all in parallel. A lot of people do like to start with a strategic plan because usually that's the biggest picture for the department. But if you want to, go start working on your CHIP and your workforce development, all that kind of stuff, I'm happy to take a look at them and do the basic structure for you or make some suggestions on the basic structure. If you want to work those in parallel, that's fine with me.
Okay. Okay.
So I guess the steps are you guys finish, getting this part of the plan and down to the objective level. And then you send over some activities. If you want to go ahead and try putting the activities in as well, that's fine. Send them over. Let me know if you've put them in there. I'll take a look at them and make some suggestions on activity types and the data points that you're going to want to keep. And then, in the next couple of days, if you've got time, we can schedule another one of these go-to meetings and walk through them. And I think once we go through a couple of them, just interactively, I think it'll be a piece of cake for you guys to go through and finish out. Then maybe it's sitting down with the objective leads in the various programs and say, okay, let's talk about the steps you're going to go through to get to this objective here. And then document those, go back and put them in the system, and very soon we'll have a fully fleshed out strategic plan.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to look at today?
Nothing from me.
I'm curious, if I start tooling around with the dashboard and I'm running into issue, Fred, do you have, is the part of your services, do you have the availability for me to call you, or is your preference that we wait from meeting to meeting?
Oh, no. Pick up the phone and call me, email me, text me, whatever you've got.
Okay. That's helpful, because my thought is I don't want to start going in and then doing things, because I understand that the only way that I'm going to get familiar is to just go ahead and start playing around with it, but also I don't, my fear is that I would do something that can't be undone, or I've backed myself into a corner.
Yeah, if you think you've got something that you don't think can be undone, which there are things that you could, if you delete things, remember it's hierarchical. So if I go to a group, and I don't think any of you have the permission to delete a group, but if I were to delete strategic plan, it's the entire plan all the way down there. So yeah, don't go around deleting anything. If you put something in at a high level, now if you get down to the activity level, you can delete an activity and I messed it up, so I go put another one back in. It's one element. But as you go up, obviously, you may have 10 activities under one objective, so you delete everything. So yeah, just be cautious. And if there's any questions, pick up the phone, call me, email me, whatever, before you do anything. Now I'll show you one other nice little trick here, and that is the built-in help system here. So if I'm at the objective level and I want to know what any of these buttons are, what goes in the fields, what do I put in, how do I do that, I just go over here and click on the blue eye. It takes me right there to adding and managing objectives. So it's got some just kind of bullet points in here, and some of them, if you click on them, have a little bit more detail down here at the bottom. Tells you, little things about that. But there's also, this guy is the video training module for objectives. So if you click on that, it's going to pop open a YouTube video. It's going to go right to adding and managing objectives. So if you have any questions, the first place to go is the blue eye. Look at that. If it doesn't answer your question, pick up the phone, call me, text me, email me, whatever.
Okay, great. That's very reassuring. Thank you.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I'll let you guys get back to vaccinating people and saving the world. And again, as you're going through this, any questions, feel free to reach out.
All right. We appreciate it.
Okay. Well, you guys have a great day. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.